Yes, I love it. So this morning we're going to be talking about how Sanas empowers the human touch in an AI world with real-time speech understanding. It is an amazing piece of technology. Sanas was also just very recently recognized for defining really the accent translation category and was awarded for it by Frost & Sullivan. No question that CMP Research will be excited to rank and recognize them as part of a forthcoming PRISM. So congrats on those sort of recent accolades. To kick us off, I'm going to invite a couple of leaders up to the stage to walk you all through a little bit of a demo. Then we're going to have a really fun conversation about all things real-time speech understanding and accent translation. So I'd like to welcome to the stage Ashish Bisaria from Trajector, client of Sanas. Yeah. And also Anant Singh from Sanas. Come on up. I'll let you guys kick us off and show us what Sanas can do.
All right, so I think we have a demo prepared before we actually start talking about Sanas. Can you guys hear me okay? Yes. Good. The most important part is you get to hear the demo, okay, because that's a real-time demo. I know in the world of AI, there's a lot of times there's people talk about what can be done versus at Sanas, we actually show you how it's done, and that's what the whole reason we're here for. So whenever you're ready, we can cue it.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right.
Hello.
Hey, Iggy, thank you so much for joining. I hope you're staying safe in the typhoon. I know Philippines has been hit pretty hard recently with one of the biggest typhoons in a long time. So thank you so much for making time, Iggy, for joining with us this morning, and I hope you're staying safe. But as usual, I would like to, go ahead and introduce yourself in your original voice and accent so people can get to know you better.
Yes, thank you, Anant. Hello, everybody. I'm Iggy. I'm from the Philippines. I live here in Paranaque City. It's about a 30-minute drive to our Makati Central Business District. I'm into sports. I play tennis, basketball. I play the occasional golf game. And I try to do this with my friends and family as often as I can. Now, Sanas also has a noise elimination feature. So first, let me play you some background noise. So I want to confirm if you can hear the background noise.
Yes.
Yes.
So now let me turn on Sanas.
So there, I just turned on Thomas, and you shouldn't be hearing the background noise anymore, but it's still playing here on my end. And for comparison and reference, let me just repeat what I said earlier. I'm Iggy, I'm from the Philippines. I live here in Paranaque City. It's about a 30-minute drive to our Makati Central Business District. I'm into sports. I play tennis, basketball. I play the occasional golf game, and I try to do this with my family and friends as often as I can. So there you have it.
Thank you so much, Iggy. So that's our demo for our Philippines model. And again, this is real time, as you can see. If you guys want to ask any questions, feel free to do so. But I'd love to bring on Sayali as well, who is our India model demoer. So Sayali, you there?
Yes.
Hi.
Yes, thank you so much, Anant. And hello, everyone. This is Sayali, and I am based out of Nagpur, India. And what you are hearing right now is my natural voice and accent. And talking about myself, I love to paint and sing, and I also enjoy going on long drives on weekends. Now, let me go ahead and show you all the magic of Sanas.
Alright, I have turned Sanas on. Let me go ahead and introduce myself. This is Saili, and I am based out of Nagpur, India. I have been working in BPO industry from past 4 years now, and previously I also used to work with many international clients. Sometimes they faced issues with the accent, but now with the help of Sanas, we can have better connection and understanding. That's about it from my end. I hope you all liked it.
Thank you so much, Sayali.
Thank you.
All right. So that's the
Pretty
magic that
darn
we're
cool
building.
to kick us off this morning. I love it. Let's start with just some introductions with both of you, get to know you a little bit, and then we'll dive into all things real-time speech understanding. So, Ashish, why don't we start with you?
Hi, Ashish Bisaria, President and Chief Operating Officer of a company called Trajector. Now, clearly you can recognize from my perfect American accent, I'm from India. And I wish I had Sanas in my mic for better accent neutralization. The word trajector comes from trajectories. Our job is to change life trajectories of disabled veterans. Our veterans is a community that has been overlooked and underserved. And it's a problem that bothers us a lot. And our job is to find the financial help that they deserve and get them the medical evidence that gets them that. It's one of the best things we can do for our veterans that were overlooked by the system.
Amazing. Yes, absolutely.
My name is Anant Singh, and I lead the GTM efforts for Sanas globally. I have had the honor of knowing Ashish for some time and working with Trajector very closely. For us, this relationship sort of like transcends, the vendor-partner relationship. It's more of like also a personal thing for us, where the sort of path that the Trajector is on and what they're doing for the veterans in America it's unmatched. It's on par with some of the most amazing feats which this community really needs, and it's great to sort of like partner with a company like Trajector, and especially a partner like Ashish on the other side.
I love a little fist bump. Very nice. As a vendor and vendor partnership should be. Exactly, right? So let's dive into a few questions here, and we'll start with you, Anant. What's your view on AI and its impact on agent jobs? Sanas really turns that on its head, so I'm excited to hear your perspective.
I know, yes, and it's very important for us because at the end of the day, Sanas, when we invented this real-time speech-to-speech understanding model and the space, our main focus has always been around how to actually make sure we augment human lives versus replace them. It's very easy to sort of like say that, oh, these jobs are going to go away, this is going to go away. But I'll just give an example. There is a reason when you call 911, you have a human answering on the other side, and it's not a robot or an meta agent, because humans actually thrive on human connections. And that is where we believe that, the jobs that have no value in terms of like when you're calling in for like, hey, what's my account information, what's my, where's my package at, and all of those kind of things. Those things have been on its way out for the modern advent of technology for a long time. But what we are noticing is the issues which really require human connection are growing at a rapid pace. So no matter how people say the agents are going to sort of get replaced by AI, we actually on the other side where we believe that agents are going to become way more important in the world of technology and how the connections are happening globally. And we believe we are going all in on that. We truly believe that at the end of the day, you want to have that human connection. Like in case of Trajector, it's clear, case in point. Like, do you think a veteran would talk to a bot on the other side? No, they won't. If you need help, you need that connection. And you also have to understand that humans are not always looking for solutions. They're also looking for someone to just hear them out, right? The empathy, the connection that is built with that, and the brand image that is built is way more important than just sort of like AHT and trying to get them off the phone or try to like answer their questions in an IVR format. So that's where we focus on, and I don't think that is going to go away anytime soon.
Not at all. The agent's job has just changed entirely. It's a new skill set. It's a lot higher touch, a lot more complex work. Very interesting. Ashish, would love your perspective on this as well, what you're seeing at Trajector and how you're seeing AI's impact on jobs.
We are an absolute human-to-human shop. You're talking to people with disabilities. You're talking to people with severe cases of PTSD. the last thing you want to do is complicate that or create the distance by introducing technology. So I'm with Anant. The world of human-to-human conversation will never disappear. I think more of the technology lately is making us gravitate towards those connections even more. To serve that need, US can only provide me so many resources. We need resources from the global community to help in those human-to-human connection. And depending upon your clientele, depending upon your business model, sometimes it's tough introducing workforce with an accent into your business model. It was a challenge 2.5, 3 years back when I started with Trajector that I inherited. All our workforce was concentrated in the US for all the right reasons. And we heard about Sanas theoretically in their concept paper, and I tell Anand this story all the time. I snickered, I said, no one can in real time, with zero latency, neutralize an accent enough to make it sound. And here you've seen the demo as real as it gets. 2.5 years back, we started on this journey. We have more than 800 team members now in Philippines, about 100 team members in India, and a client over here would not know the difference. We brought a global community in. We've changed the lives of our employees globally while serving the needs of the disabled veterans that we are committed to. And I am one of the biggest supporters of Sanas technology.
And you really do have to see it to believe it. That's the truth.
You have to see it to believe
You know,
it.
it's great to open with that, just so everyone really has context about how amazing the technology is. So let's build a little bit more on that. Would love to hear the exact use cases that you all have used for AI in your respective organizations, and specifically how it's structured within your organization. And we'll start with Anant.
Yeah, for us, AI is just a tool to sort of like make sure that the humans are getting the right resources, and whether it's internally, whether it's towards our customers. Our entire aspect around artificial intelligence, obviously Sanas came out of Stanford AI Labs, and our sort of like outlook towards AI is not sort of going and removing and automating everything, as we mentioned. It's always about how we can actually look at where human touches are and how we can augment them. Case in point in Trajector and some of our other customers, like when Sanas started back in Philippines, this was about 4 years ago. We had about it took us 3 years to actually build a model, right? And it's a very difficult model to build, where we had working with partners like Trajector. We started with 200 agents about 6 quarters ago, and today we are surpassing 40,000 plus agents as of this morning, between India and Philippines and opening up Latin America. And all of this in the advent of artificial intelligence, internally, we have also utilized tools to actually help our team members to sort of like augment them, right? So we eat our own dog food, we make sure that the product is properly tested, but at the same time, when it goes out in the public market, how it is perceived and how real it is, that is where it's the most important aspect of explaining the reality of artificial intelligence to actually augment human beings versus replacing them is far greater and far more you get more return on investment versus the hypothetical scenarios that a lot of people keep talking about. So that's where we stand, and I think as the time goes by, as you guys also have seen, we truly believe uplifting the community at the same time, because when you invent something, you have the moral responsibility of making sure that the industry is guided in the right direction. Making noise cancellation available to everyone at no cost globally was one of that aspects of us saying that, hey, let's bring up everyone together, because it is a human right to have a noise-free and a voice-free call. So that's where we are at, yeah.
It's amazing. Let's hear a little bit more from you, Ashish, on that front.
I do want to be honest. We are mission-driven organization, but we are a for-profit organization too. We do get paid for the services we do. 3 years back, we were serving roughly 25 to 30,000 veterans a year. To put this in perspective, We have 18 million disabled veterans in America today. We roughly add 100 to 120,000 disabled veterans into the system every year. We were 3 years back at round numbers, 25,000 clients were the largest player in disabled space. In 3 years, we are serving 125,000 veterans this year. So we've gone 4-5x growth. And being a mission-driven organization, 125,000 barely covers those that are getting added into the system. Forget trying to make a dent in 18 million lives to be impacted. When you see these homeless veterans on the street, they have severe cases of PTSD. And when you have PTSD, it's tough to keep a job, it's tough to keep a relationship. So when you have no family relationship or no job, that's the place they end up in. And we are trying to change that. We have to do this at scale. Our mission can only survive if we go from 125,000 to 250,000 to 500,000 in the next 2 years. And I need the global community, so bringing the global community. Over here, everybody's from the contact center industry, or at least understands that. Philippines, India has the largest workforce, but metros are densely populated. You're competing for the scarce resource in those. We are in a place 3 hours outside of Manila. I don't know what an analogy would be. Mobile, Alabama, I'm making it up, right? Pick a place where nobody's there. We have 800 Filipinos from that community now as part of our organization, and you wouldn't know the difference. This scale has allowed us to hire without having to do accent testing, which costs money to you, accent neutralization, that costs you time and money and new hire training, and all the, excuse me, can you repeat what you said, and all the other conversation that just adds to the friction. A statement that I think you will all subscribe to is, accent is not a problem when you solve the issue on the call. But when you don't solve it, accent also becomes a problem, right? Why add that to your client experience, right? We know that people will use that as an additional reason. So let's remove that problem out of the system. And if you can find a tool that can do that, why not? So it's not a handle time play. It's a larger talent pool, faster onboarding, less spend on initial training and all the things. The right thing to do by your team member. They're not getting abused or being told abusively when you don't solve a problem. And a global community coming to serve a bigger cause. That's the reason why we do this. That's the reason why we spend the time and the money. And why this technology helps also is there's a ton of medical terminology we need to use. And as you can imagine from your biology classes, those are tongue twisters. Try saying that with an accent. You could be repeating that 17 times and you still can't communicate effectively. And that's where the tuning of the system is important, and which is where Sanas spends time. This is not buy, install, and forget. Like all AI tool, you have to invest the time to constantly tune and stay current. Our vocabulary of medical term is probably 10,000 words deep. Each word has been tuned that even with an improper accent, the client can at least hear clearly. It's just, the value of this is just incomprehensible to me. And I'm the first one to say, 3 years back, I was the biggest skeptic of this. I was like, you cannot do this. This is technologically not possible. Today I'm sitting on stage with Sanas talking about, not only is it possible, it changes the game for your client and for your team members.
I always say, like, this is exactly why partnerships mean so much, because when you see a passion with which someone embraces that technology and sort of like sees it working for their benefit and therefore the benefit of the veteran community and the community at large, it just motivates us even more. So for us, again, Sanas has opened up a chapter of a real-time speech-to-speech understanding platform in which noises and voices and accents are the very first sort of like, first few pages that we are writing. As the time goes by, we intend to do so much more in this space. And hopefully like keep uplifting the community across the board.
Absolutely. Ashish, I'd like to double click just a little bit more into the variety of challenges that Sanas has been able to resolve for you. So turning the clock back 2.5, 3 years ago when you started the partnership, we'd love to hear a little bit more about the specific challenges you were facing. Of course, the communication barriers piece, like we just saw live here, which is amazing. What are some of the other challenges that Sanas has been able to solve for you, and what business impact has that created for Trajector?
If you're a hyper-growth company and looking to expand quickly, you're not limited by geography anymore. That's the biggest advantage we got. Second, when you want to bring a global community, you need to find a common denominator that allows communications. Again, please remember, we are a human-to-human organization. We are always going to be human-to-human. You have digital client portals and everything. Those who want digital journeys can do it, but we are a human-to-human first. Second, the denominator becomes common, where everybody can communicate back and forth using a common language and a common accent. Speed to hire. Forget the global pool. You all are challenged by trying to target the few fluent speakers in India and the Philippines and the Latin America. And those individuals know their value too. They know that their accent is much more neutral and there's a premium to them, and they will move for the next dollar to the next shop, right? You are no longer limited to that resource. You can bring people with thicker accent into the system. Third, your new hire training, from that to being on the job taking calls, is reduced because you're not spending time on that. If your business is static, which ours is not, assuming your handle time is a relatively static upper limit, lower limit, you will drop handle time simply because you're not repeating the same thing twice or thrice because people are struggling to understand. And finally, employee retention should improve because they are not getting abused or questioned or challenged when you don't solve the problem to go, I hear you said you're Bob, but you clearly aren't Bob. Where are you based and how the hell are you pretending, right? All those abusive things that sometimes happen disappears. Those are your direct business benefits by using just one solution.
I just feel like the engagement for the employee experience is such a game changer for these agents. It's really amazing. Anant, I'd like to, and you alluded to this a little bit earlier, the ethics around AI, specifically speech AI, is certainly something, I mean, ethics around AI generally is a huge topic and very controversial right now about who's in charge, who sets the standard, and you all basically invented a category here. So with great power comes great responsibility, as you had sort of mentioned. A question that often comes up is, does the technology actually change an agent's voice to like a generic avatar sort of voice? Or is it actually preserving their original voice? I'd love to hear a little bit more about that from you.
I know, that's a great question, and thank you for sort of highlighting that. One of the areas that, yes, it is true, when you invent something, you have that, with great power comes great responsibility. And in the early stages, we were kind of like struck with this dilemma ourselves, is like, do we make everyone sound like they're from Texas, or they're from California, or they're from New York, or make them sound like, some of the favorite actors? And that was the easiest thing to do, and we could have gotten to the market. But we literally put a stop to that. We literally thought about it from a perspective of like, what are we doing by doing this? We are actually saying that the people's voices are not good enough, right? They need to sort of focus on this idea of like, hey, I rather sound like someone else. And I always go back to saying this, like when you try to pretend to be someone, you will never sort of be comfortable in those shoes. The idea that I always have this, like if you have a perfect suit, it changes your demeanor. It changes the way you walk, you talk, and your kind of like, confidence increases. For us, it was very imperative that we actually kept the emotions, the identity of the agents intact, and we did not make them sound like avatars. We also did actual studies in the market where we went to the end users who are in North America and played them multiple models and just a blind test, like which one they preferred most. One of the interesting parts of these things, people don't mind accents. People just want to understand the other person. And the human psychology is built this way that if they cannot understand you, the very first question that comes to your mind is like, did they actually understand the problem that I have? And that's the misunderstanding that creates, the friction that creates. The idea of going through this and keeping the emotions intact was so important because the human to human connection is built on the imperfection of human speech. That is why people relate to each other, because it's, we have fillers, we have spaces, we take time to think. Think about an avatar on the other side. When you do strip out all the emotions, it sounds like just an advanced version of an IVR. And humans cannot connect to that. So we spend blood, sweat, and tears and gone through a lot of, and we have scars to prove it, through this motion of understanding how to do it and how to ensure that everyone sounds just like themselves, and which you saw in the demo today. Iggy, Sayali, myself, Ashish, we have our own identity, we have our own timbre, and we preserve that throughout the entire part of the conversation.
Actually, that brings me to something. We have global workforce. We have workforce in Argentina, Poland, India, Philippines. And for all employee meetings that I run, I actually use Sanas on my laptop when I'm presenting, so as an internal use. Having said that, Anant, can you make sure that I get the Matthew McConaughey version on mine? Because I do want to sound like him. I think that would be really, really cool.
Your voice, your choice. That's what we believe in.
Put the Matthew McConaughey version on my laptop, please.
Absolutely, we'll work on that. But no, thank you for bringing that up, because people often forget that in this race of AI, humans are the most important aspect of it. Their emotions is what makes a speech a real speech, a conversation. Otherwise, yeah, it's not the world that we want to live in, where you're just constantly talking to machines.
Totally. And empathy has to come from a place of authenticity. And this is a tool that empowers that. Ashish, talk to us just a little more about, actually both of you all, about sort of data and security around Sanas, the perspectives there, the governance. What do we need to be thinking about?
I would love to sort of talk about this because, in the world of AI, one of the biggest challenges that everyone is going to face is it is going to be a data collection scheme everywhere.
Right.
You need data to train models. And we knew this early on that, hey, in order to actually develop this the right way, how much data do we need? We actually mapped out close to 430 different dialects in India and about 45 different in Philippines, and to a point where we understood that I think we have enough that we don't need to keep continuing collecting data. So today Sanas has built the model in just not predicted and not just developing the model, but also how the consumption model works. We built it an air gap system, which is an exe file. You simply drag and drop it into your system, works as a virtual microphone layer, and it does not write any data on the machine. It doesn't send anything on the cloud. It effectively can work without the internet. It takes the power from the CPU, and even though we don't need the data, we don't take the data. We have the most strongest security posture. I think there's every security certification that's God's green earth that we have for such a small company, such a young company, except FedRAMP. That's the only one because we don't work with federal governments yet, but we'll get there. But that's the importance of hey, customers feel also very much at ease when they feel like, oh, I don't have to actually give my customers' data or my agents' data to Sanas. They are not taking it in real time. They're not doing anything with it. It just makes that process of getting, the tool in the hands of the agents a lot sooner, without any friction, and everyone can just stay at ease.
And that is one of the 5 other reasons why we partnered with Sanas, because otherwise the legal hurdle to cross internally, talking about a veteran's health, which is a very private data, a very private conversation, and share it with Sanas. That hurdle is too high to jump. And because of how they design, we kept it. Now, to tune the system, we share the data with them, strip out of all PII information, so there is redacted information, but libraries and the conversations, we get to control what we give Sanas to tune the system. And once it's tuned and it passes our QA, there is no data concern we have working with them.
Yeah, that's the beauty of also, personalization. Every company has its own unique way of sort of doing business. Every customer has its own unique way of interacting with those agents and agents to the customer. So for us, we also give those options to customers like, hey, it's not like just off the shelf all the time. If you do want certain personalizations and stuff like that, we offer it, but it's completely up to them on how they want to choose to go forward with it. But in real time, as the application is installed on your computer, it's literally no data whatsoever.
Amazing. Somehow we plowed through 30 minutes quite quickly. I do have one final question for you both. Forward-looking, obviously this technology is incredible. Imagine we're having this conversation 5-10 years from now. How do you all envision the role of speech AI evolving in customer care? And perhaps this is sort of also what's now and what's next for Sanas.
5 years from now, you will hear Matthew McConaughey speaking.
That's the goal. I will
work on
be
getting your
Matthew
personalized
McConaughey.
model. But yeah, see, at Sanas, we have some people call it a foolish dream, and but dreams are supposed to be grandeur and large because that's when you strive to achieve them. By 2030, we want to actually increase the global GDP by $1 trillion, not by replacing human beings, but by bringing people into the fold, because that's how you actually grow humanity. And that's a massive goal, and we know the way it's going to happen is to sort of make sure that, imagine a world where two people who have never spoken to each other can just pick up the phone and talk to each other without the language barriers, without the accent, without the noises. And what's the first thing that's going to happen? It's going to be relationships and commerce. And that's how we believe the world is going to grow in terms of, helping everyone being able to communicate. And it is a massive, massive task. Our North Star is obviously how to sort of do language in real time, but just in the part of the world where English is, 1.5 billion people speak English, and everyone has an accent. It's all about the perspective through which you're looking at it. When you are talking to people in India, they believe people in America have an accent. Like the same thing between UK and US. How do people recognize each other, which part of the world you're from, is actually how they speak through accents. That's the first thing that you actually recognize. So for us, we want to remove those barriers. We want to increase the global space where people are all intrinsically communicating without any challenges.
And we're excited to see what's next for sure from Sanas. Really exciting stuff. Anant, Ashish, thank you so much. It's been a really fun conversation.
Thank you.
All right. We are excited to welcome our illustrious keynote speaker this morning. His name is Peter Fader. He is an